What's going on, fellas? I just finished what I would consider to be my holy grail as a Slipknot fan. I found Look Outside Your Window a little early. It got leaked. I'm not going to link it or anything like that, but if you have a brain, you can go onto the internet and you can find it. So I went and listened to it. I'm just going to give a couple of quick thoughts, a couple of little notes and whatnot. I'm not a fan of critiquing a lot of art. And I'm going to sound like an absolute fucking dingbat here. I'm not a fan of critiquing a lot of artwork because as a creative myself, I understand that people go for certain things and sometimes they come off and sometimes they don't come off. For me, in this case, by the way, I just want to preface by saying this definitely does come off for me. Like, I could see what they're going for, what they were going for, and yeah, I'm just super excited that I finally got to listen to it, you know. It has been a very, 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 very long time as a Slipknot fan waiting for this. This has been kind of like, the best way to describe it, it was kind of like lost media for many years. We were trying to figure out, can we find this? Like, where can we find this? Where can we hear this? We know it's out there, but we can't find it. And the only snippet that we did have was of Juliet in I believe Officer Down, which was Clown's film. But we heard it was in the end credits, I believe. I've not seen Officer Down. I've seen a little bit, but I probably should go and watch it. I've heard it's a good time. So I've heard snippets, obviously. I've heard Juliet, little parts, but I finally got a hold of it. It's a couple of days away from coming out, and I'm excited for everybody to hear it. It's not a Slipknot project as they've announced it. They've just announced it under Look Outside Your Window, something totally separate from Slipknot, which I understand. Because what is here, while obviously because it's done by some Slipknot members, it does have those tendencies that you can't mistake or get away from when a couple of those people get into a room together. However, what I will say is this is not anything like Slipknot. The closest stuff I could think of would be obviously like Till We Die, Circle, songs like that, like the lower sort of like acousticy, atmospheric stuff. There's a lot of that on here, and it does lend itself to a couple of Slipknot-esque tendencies that we've heard from those darker songs, although this is very much different. So the first song I listened to was a track called 11th March, and to be honest with you, I can't lie, I couldn't really process the song itself because it was just like, it opens with this weird piano and then it builds on there. But I couldn't really digest it properly. And I wanted to speak because I was super excited about this. It was just, oh my god, I'm finally listening to this album. So, there you go. The next song was called Moth. And this one, throughout the song, it had weird, like, subtle vocoders and effects over Corey's vocals, which I found really interesting. He sounds like he's singing normally, but then some notes they'll kind of click into place a little more than others would. It's like they've been hard tuned with no sort of like with no smoothing sort of done on it. It's very obvious that it was purposeful because obviously we all know Corey can sing. The drums on this song sounded, and to be fair, throughout the album, it sounded super duper compressed. For this song, for example, like, it sounded almost like it was a drum machine. It was just that on every time. I know Clown played drums on this. There was this weird screaming at the end that Corey was doing, and it was kind of like, it was sort of like his Volume 3 scream, but it didn't have enough, it didn't have the same amount of power. It was almost like a Total Fry scream. It was very weird. Very like high-pitched and like dry. So that was interesting. Dirge, right, okay, so immediately, whoa, you can hear Jim rolling through the Jim root scales and the modes and stuff that he goes to, like he's using his Phrygian stuff, which he always does. There was like weird pianos in there. There was ping pong delay all over this album, but there's ping pong delay a lot in this song. You can hear it going in from one ear and then to the other and whatnot. It's all over this album's production, and they were transitioning in and out of major and minor sort of tendencies. Like, it was just lower and like a little heavier and a little sludgier, and then out of nowhere it would transition into this really weird sort of, I don't know, it would transition into like this major, super uplifty, ethereal sounding, I would say, I don't know how I would describe it. Would it be a pre-chorus or a chorus? I'm not sure. I'm not great with music theory, to be honest, but it was definitely sadder in the verses, and then it went all the way up in the pre-chorus-y chorus section that I heard. So that was cool. And just as a side note, Corey sounds great throughout all this album, but particularly in the outro of this song. Sounded super good. Christina was the next song that I heard, and essentially this is just Christina Scabbia just speaking in her language. That's all she's doing. Does she speak Italian? Is she Italian? I look incredibly ignorant right now for not knowing. But it was, you know, Christina Scabbia's in this, and obviously she was with Jim Root for a long time. I didn't have a fucking clue what she was saying the entire time. I have no idea what she's saying. But it was just a spoken word, like 1 minute 30 seconds of Christina Scabbia just doing a thing, just saying what she was saying. Then Israel was next. This one was super grungy and super stompy. There was loads of weird sounds by Sid going on at the time. The mix is very low end. I'll get onto the mix a little afterwards. It sounds like shit, but that's a good thing, in my opinion. Corey's at a very, very, very higher register here. There's backing vocals by Christina, and they eventually become sort of like a main part on the way out in the final like 1 minute 30 of the song. And then there's like there's spoken word again during that song from Christina, and I thought this was going to be like a running thing all the way throughout, which I was excited for, because I'm like a huge fan of Alice Cooper, and like the Welcome to My Nightmare album where Vincent Price, like, he was just all over that the entire time. I was hoping that we could get some, because it was still early in the album at this point. We were only like 3 or 4 songs in, and I was hoping that she was just gonna pop in and out like that to kind of provide a commentary throughout. I thought that would have been cool, but it didn't end up materialising. But it was a cool decision. I just wish they would have went down that path a little bit more, especially because they're doing like this like weird experimental like zappery thing. It was like, it would have been cool to have like something like that in there as like a nod to albums from the 70s and whatnot. But that's just me. I say albums from the 70s, just Alice Cooper, you know. Then there was Away, and it starts off with this bass line, and you can tell instantly that Jim's playing bass on here, obviously because it says that Jim's playing bass. However, what I will say, if you gave this to a Slipknot fan and they did not know that this was a Slipknot related project, I would say that you could instantly tell that it was Jim Root on bass guitar, simply because of his choices of notes. Jim has this tendency of playing in Phrygian, and that continued here. Side note, Jim Root's one of my favourite guitar players. I just think his note choices and his melodic tendencies sound so good, man. They sound so good. So yeah, you could instantly tell, even on a different instrument, that this is Jim Root doing what Jim Root does, which was super cool. Like, I wasn't a big fan of this one, though. I felt like it wasn't really going anywhere. It was another song where Corey is singing in a super high register. Although I did appreciate the sound design towards the outro of this song. It kind of just dissolved up and like it stopped in time, and this happened on the next song too, and it kind of just jumbled off until it ended. I wasn't a super big fan of this one, but definitely cool elements nonetheless. Next song was In Reverse, and this was more like straightforward. There was a couple of like really cool harmonies and layers vocally. Although I will say there is this one moment where Corey says the lyric, "You'll be a slave," and the way he delivers it, mate, he sounds like Dave Mustaine. It's like, he doesn't sound too, like, the delivery is like Dave Mustaine, which I find very funny because it just is. It's just funny. It always takes me back to the Lane Staley video. Anyway, it was just a little side note that I thought was funny. So it trails off, and then at the end, you can hear Corey and Jim talking to each other. Corey saying like, "What was that?" or whatever, because obviously they were recording this in, I believe, Jamaica, Iowa. I could be wrong. If there's not a place called Jamaica in Iowa, I'm gonna look like an absolute dick. Anyway, so they were recording this in Iowa, in the middle of nowhere, and you can hear Corey shout to Jim, "Hey, did you hear that?" right at the end. And obviously, with the stories of certain hauntings, why did I say that really weird? Obviously, the story when it comes to certain things that happened during the recording of Volume 3, the previous album, to when this was recorded, I find, I just know, I just think it's cool when Slipknot has kind of like this, plays into like the weird haunting vibe, because I imagine being in like a country house and looking outside into nothing in the middle of nowhere, it can get pretty weird. I think that's, I believe this album stemmed from a lot of late nights in an environment like that, which was cool, as they played into the spookiness of it, which was awesome. So yeah, just a little anecdote there, which I found pretty interesting and pretty cool. So the next song was Toad. Great name. Wonderful name. Dark acoustic vibes. Love that. Instantly in. There was this, I would say, the first bit of vocals on this had kind of like a Nine Inch Nail sort of delivery to it. I don't even know, right, if this was Corey. I don't know, because it was just, it was buried, and the delivery was so different to what I usually hear from Corey Taylor. And then I think, you know, Clown was on this too. Maybe it's Clown, maybe, I don't know, I could be wrong. But I believe in the first 20 seconds that this could be Clown. Don't go crazy at me in the comments if it wasn't Clown. I'm sorry, I hold my hands up, my bad. It just sounded like Clown. Anyway, this one sounded super ethereal. It was one of my favourites. It distorts more towards the end as well. They do a lot of stuff in this album where it distorts a little bit more towards the end, and it kind of trails off and skews off, which I find super interesting. It might be something that I end up stealing and doing in my own work, so super cool. It was kind of like, it has kind of like, so the intensity picks up a lot towards the end of these songs, on all of them, and on a lot of them it distorts, and the time goes off, and it kind of has an energy of like, you know, film burn, towards, you know what a film burn is, when the film physically burns, and like old zombie movies and stuff. That's sort of the vibe it has to it, where everything's kind of combusting and it's all come together. I find that, I thought that was a nice little touch on the majority of these songs. And the next song, Juliet, which we've heard a lot of times so far, and I have at least. Obviously, this is in the Officer Down credits, and I loved this one, and I can understand why this was kind of like the foot that Clown put forward when he used it in his film. Because I would say this is probably the strongest song on the album. Harmonies are just wonderful in this. Like the vocal layering and the note choices and the harmony choices in this song in particular sound so good, man. Like it's just super like uplifty sort of feeling to it. It's like slightly upbeat feeling. There you go. That was Juliet. I don't want to talk too much about it. You should probably just find it on the internet and go and listen to it, man. And see what you think yourself, because there's only so much that I can say about this, especially on a first listen to, so I've not really had time for it to digest, which is something that I'll get onto towards the end. Then You Can't Stop This, it's just a stoner song, it's just stompy, goes all the way through, that's kind of it. It sounds like Clown is providing backing vocals here. Very like straight down the road, doesn't progress much. It's just the same sort of like slog of sound for 3 minutes straight. And once again, it distorts towards the end and skews off. But that was the ending to the album. That was Look Outside Your Window. I can't believe that I heard it. I can't believe that I finally listened to it. I've been after this album for so long. So when it finally, I thought to myself, I was like, oh, I should have just wait until the album comes out and I go get the album on Record Store Day. But I thought to myself, no way, man. I'm definitely gonna go grab the album regardless. But I just couldn't wait, man. I really couldn't wait. I've been after this. After this album for so long. I've been trying to listen to it for so long, and yeah, it's finally here. And you know what? I think I went into it knowing exactly what I was going to get out of it, and what I got out of it was exactly what I was expecting going into it. I knew this was going to be experimental. I've known that it was going to be experimental for years. I knew that it was. Again, production wise, sound like complete dog shit, but that, once again, I need to explain, is a creative choice. A lot of people will talk nonsense, really, on the production, but you have to understand the context within that. So yeah, no, this album was done a lot with there was a lot of turmoil in the so they didn't. They were already doing one record. They weren't, taking a bunch of money to go and do this other one. They were just using stuff that were laying about, and they used that to their advantage and kind of made this thing come together. It was very DIY, and that's what I like about it. It feels, they're just playing with stuff. They're just experimenting with stuff, and they're purposely making it sound pretty rough to listen to, and I can't express to people how much that is a creative choice, and that is the way that it is intended to be. It will get grief. People aren't going to be happy with the production. People going into it that are just expecting a Slipknot album, they're going to be disappointed because it's not a Slipknot album. And it's like, guys, can we just take labels off from everything for a second? And just appreciate that this is really cool that it's happened. It's really cool that it's here. It's really cool that we get to listen to it because, we've been after this for a long time, and Clown for so many years has been trying to get it out, and then not getting out. And for me at least, in terms of where I'm at in life, this is probably like the. This album is great for where I am right now, in terms of when it comes to the music that I'm listening to. It's getting a lot more experimental and a little progressive and a little weird, because I think there's only so much that you can listen to without going, damn, all this shit sounds exactly the same. Which is why, and I'm going to get flack for this, I am a huge fan of the new Avenged Sevenfold album and the new single that they've done. Because it's pushing boundaries, it's different, it's not what you would usually expect. And I like that, especially when everything's becoming so samey and so sanitised. You aren't going to like the production of the Look Outside Your Window album because it's not squeaky clean, because everybody's used to listening to squeaky clean stuff, which I understand. But for me, there's a time and a place for it, and I understand it totally, but... I like when things are a little dirty, and I like when things are a little different. I like when things sound like shit. I like when things look like shit. I just, that's just the way I am personally. So, and another note, like I said, this was my first listen. So I've not had time to fully digest what was going on lyrically, which is silly because I should have done that and then come and done this, but I was just so excited. I just wanted to talk about it. So I've not been able to listen to what has been going on lyrically, and I am aware that a lot of these songs were about Paul Gray, Slipknot's original bass player. May he rest in peace. I've not listened. I've not properly digested or heard. But according to Corey and according to Corey and according to Clown and according to Jim and according to Sid, like a lot of this stuff was, a lot of the lyrics were about Paul and what he was going through at the time, and I think that is something important to note as well. This is a really good album. It's just fun to listen to. Like, I was always going to like this album. I was always going to appreciate it. I was always going to enjoy it. But it's just really cool that it's finally come to fruition. It's really cool that it's finally here. And yeah, man, I enjoyed it. It was fun. If you guys have time to go and listen to it, go and listen to it. Just smoke a lot of weed beforehand, and you'll be great. Anyway, guys, take care. Cheers for listening. And I'll be out of here. I will see you later.